So, good morning and good evening. So, we'll begin this week's reading and reflection session. And as we begin, just in gathering ourselves to be more present, to be more available to what we read. We are so used to multitasking that we don't even realize that how, where, even if, when we are here, when we are reading, still there could be things going on and they will go on for a very long time at the back of the mind, distracting us, making us, think of other things. And we often lose the gist or an important part in those explorations here and there. So, invoking Mother and Sri Aurobindo's presence and grace, asking for concentration, receptivity, flexibility, sincerity, and discipline. We can begin. So, I will share what Vishal had shared on the group, some links. This one, even the name is really beautiful. One must try to become like a flower. And this is by Mona Sarkar. So, Vishal, you would want me to start reading from Bonjour or even before?
Uh, yeah. So I think that one, yeah, from there, from Bonjour is good.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So, Bonjour, Bonjour, sweet mother. Take this. Mother gives me a flower. Do you know what it is? Yes, mother. Aesthetic beauty, Ipomia morning glory. How tender and fresh it is. Mother, are you giving it to me so that I may cultivate aesthetic beauty, or is it because it corresponds to a part of my being? So, Mother answers, it is an answer to the aspiration from the very depths of your being that I give the flowers. It is a need or an aspiration. It depends on the individual. It may fill a void or else give an impetus for progress or find the inner harmony in order to establish peace. Do you understand, Mother asks? Be like a flower. One must try to become like a flower, open, frank, equal, generous, and gentle. Do you know what it means? Not exactly, Mother. Mother says, the flower is open to all that is around it nature, light, the rays of the sun, the wind, etc. It exerts a spontaneous influence on all that is around it. It radiates a joy and a beauty. Frank, it hides nothing of its beauty. It lets it emerge freely, openly, frankly. What is within, what is in its depths, it brings out so that all can see it. Equal, it has no preference. Everyone can enjoy its beauty and its perfume without rivalry. It is equal and the same for everybody. There is no difference or anything whatsoever. Then, generous, how it gives without reserve and without restriction, the mysterious beauty and the characteristic perfume of nature. It sacrifices itself entirely, even its life, to express this beauty and the secret of the things that it contains. And then gentle. It is so tender, sweet, also close and affectionate towards us. Its company makes us so happy. It is always cheerful and happy. Happy is he who can exchange his qualities with the profound qualities of the flowers. Try to cultivate in yourself these refined qualities. I give you flowers so that you may develop the divine qualities they symbolize, and they can directly transmit to the psychic all that they contain without admixture. They possess a power and a very subtle and deep influence. Do you understand? Should I stop this now? Or okay, it's almost done.
Yeah, it's almost over.
In a teasing tone, now it seems to me that you wish to become like a flower or else cultivate these qualities. And you know, each flower symbolizes an aspect, an emanation, an aspiration, and a progress in the terrestrial evolution. So it's part of a book. Yeah. So you can please reflect or share what is something specific you wanted to talk about it. I mean, mainly they are just the five qualities which are
Hmm.
so beautifully. Yeah, please tell me where to point or stop.
Yeah, no, I was also just reading the qualities again. Very beautiful, right?
You know what struck me was when I was rereading it, I read it a long time back, I think, is
Mm-hmm.
like when while I was reading it, you know how some things in us are quite hypocritical, right? Like in the sense we think we are open and yet we are not. We think we are equal and yet we are not. So say when I was reading the equal portion. So if I know, if I know somebody is a criminal or if I know somebody has a history of something, I know how I'll try to just be a little more step back, right? Like my defenses will be up and I would not be at ease. So, those small, small, subtle movements, ev- and even, in just being open or just to be who you are, we are told to restrict, right? In the name of humbleness or don't give out too much or contain. Those are the things that we have conditioned. We have been conditioned to do and we have accepted them without questions. And yet, this is going back to such simplicity, even, the name be like a flower in itself feels that how we think it would be towards complications, things will have to be added on. And yet, again and again, we are reminded it's not about adding, it's about letting go, becoming less and not becoming more. So, if we take these qualities, yes, Deepa.
Yeah, I think what you said is so true. Like, it seems so simple to read, but when it comes to practice, all of this is so difficult. Like, I think when it talks about being equal in your approach, I think it's so normal for almost 90% of the society to have a core group, which is your family, and you do the most for them. Then it comes into your close circle of friends. And for whatever reasons, we have these distinctions among people that for these people, I'll do so much. For the others, I'll only do this much. And every time when I go out for a walk and when I look at the trees, when I look at the flowers, when I look at the stream, it's so true that there is no bias, right? When it offers its beauty to others. But we as humans have been so conditioned. Um, I think even if I try it for a day as a challenge to be equally magnanimous to everybody around me. I think it will be such a huge step to do. Forget about, for a lifetime. So maybe small steps, yeah.
Yeah. And it's like how mother talks about perfection, right? Like we are perfecting our beings and the perfect beings, not beings. And perfection is not a point. Like it's never that, okay, you'll reach that particular place and you'll say, oh, this is perfect, because there's always, always, always scope for more. So anytime that, I am introduced to something new, or anytime something knocks at my door, it's like one thing you see is how far you are, and yet something in us kind of opens to it now that, okay, maybe I could try this, maybe even in a smallest degree, and you don't even realize how it enters you and becomes a part of your being. So I think to see the contrast should be more a motivation rather than, we feel that, oh, how we say that abhi Delhi dur hai, it's too far, that it's beautiful to be reminded of the simplicity. And yeah, the equality point is very relevant, like openness, even like all are very relevant. And the more we see, the less, I would say that those things that we do in the names of being proper or this is the right thing, we can slowly drop those kind of say fake virtues that we carry so strongly, right? That sacred thread that we are tied with is just a thread. There's nothing sacred about it. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think, point that was made, big, by Deepa, I think, yeah, it's so true, right? Uh, though I mean, I feel like even observing that in ourselves is like progress, right? I think that's what you were saying, Dharu. So, but yes, yeah, we differentiate absolutely, and I mean, if I used to see even in Indian homes, like earlier. I mean, I should not say this about just about Indian home, but in India earlier, I mean, just say, you have some help in the house and you want to give him like, old stale food or whatever, right? Like sometimes that people come. But now, would you give that to your own family? You wouldn't, right? But we differentiate, right? It's like we see the difference and we say, okay, this is justified in our own mind. But if you actually see, this is the same living, God that has come also in this form. I mean, if you're going to give, you don't doesn't mean you cannot get rid of old stuff. I mean, there are people who need, but I'm saying to do it with that differentiation that I cannot give them what I can give my family. I think that was such a beautiful point. So, uh, and one does this, sometimes unconsciously to become conscious, I guess, is the first step. And then open also, I was thinking, is somewhat of like this baggage of the ego that we carry. How am I perceived? How, everything, right? It is that. So you're not really open. You're not, because there is always this sense of that individualization that you are identifying with something, like now we are talking to each other and there is an impression that somebody is, so if mother has written somewhere, if you're conscious, I mean, it's one thing to be, if there's that thing that I am speaking versus something is speaking through me, very big difference, right? So the flower just expressing what is innate in it, so that sense of identity is almost, I mean, I guess it's probably not exist, but I think mother says open. I was reading that into it a little bit.
Maybe not that related, but it just something just made sense to me, so I'm sharing. So I have a 9-year-old, and this weekend, like my partner needed to get something, and I had $100 bill, so I gave it to him. And my son saw it, and he was like, oh my God, I also want, like, okay, give me 20, okay, give me 10, okay, give me 5, like he was kind of negotiating, and I was like, I'm giving it to him because he wants to get something specific. I don't want to give it to you kind of, we were having that conversation. But he was like, it doesn't depend on what he does with it or not, but it depends on you give him, but you don't give me. So I couldn't understand it then. I tried to with my own intellectual thing that, that's serving a purpose. Giving you serves no purpose, kind of a thing. But he couldn't agree. So now I could see when you were sharing that how it's the feeling that he was probably missing, that you're generous to him, maybe, which I wasn't, but he could feel that just the act of it. Yeah. So Nandini and Captain, they joined late. So we were just reading. We had read this small passage on, it's called One Must Try to Become Like a Flower. It's by Mona Sarkar. So we were just reading, and in that, Mother had said that one must try to become like a flower. And these are the 5 qualities that a flower has that we must try to imbibe. So that was openness, frank, being equal, generosity, and being gentle. So that's what we were reflecting on. So maybe I'll just read this again. So the flower is open to all that is around it. Nature, light, the rays of sun, the wind. It exerts a spontaneous influence on all that is around. It radiates a joy and a beauty. It doesn't pretend, it doesn't have a face for inside and outside, right? It is what it is. It radiates a joy and a beauty because probably it is joy and it is beauty. So the frankness, it hides nothing of its beauty. So this is where we were talking about the humbleness, right? We feel it's unvirtuous to be boastful of one's beauty, maybe, but it hides nothing of its beauty. It lets it emerge freely, openly, frankly. What is within, what is in its depth, it brings out so that all can see it. Equal, it has no preference. Everyone can enjoy its beauty and its perfume without rivalry. This too is very interesting. I had missed this one the first time I read it, the rivalry aspect. How, especially in a relationship, there's always some tusk going on, right? Like tussle, not tusk. That this gives more, that gives less, and stuff. So everyone can enjoy its beauty and its perfume without rivalry. It is equal and the same for everybody. There is no difference or anything whatsoever. And in our relationships, such is the case a lot of times that if we aspire to be equal, that also is held against that how can you be equal? You should, give me more preference or give him more preference. And so we have those categorizations, right, that we are supposed to follow. And then generosity. So, how it gives without reserve, without restriction, the mysterious beauty and the characteristic perfume of nature. It sacrifices itself entirely, even its life, to express this beauty and the secret of things that it contains. For us, sacrificing is such a big thing, and yet sacrifices are happening around us all the time. And to us also, we might be on board with them or not, and yet, how sacrifice is the theme of nature. Either we are on or off it. Yes, Deepa.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize. I got unmuted.
So the last one is gentleness. So it is tender, sweet, also close and affectionate towards us. Its company makes us so happy. It is always cheerful and happy. Yeah. So this was a Great start, very refreshing and joyful. So, Vishal had shared one more link with me, but before I open that, is there anybody else who would want to share anything they would want to share today if they've got something? Captain, I didn't give him any time to prepare. I just sent him the link 2 minutes back. I'm surprised he even joined. So, but if there's anything, any,
Good evening, everybody. In fact, I wanted to see how the things are moving. I should not change the structure as it is going on. So, when I was in service at the time, I used to watch how the things were moving before my arrival there. Then, when I go there as a boss, then accordingly I used to take action. Which are the things during my tenure of 2 years I will change for the betterment of the service. So that was. So I was thinking that today I will watch, but since the request is coming, I am now once in a week in a class of Savitri. Like tomorrow is the session, like morning 10:30 means 10:30 to 11:30. So we are now in chapter Canto 4, book 3, Canto 4, the vision and the boon. So I was the Savitri I read twice, but I was not understanding the style of writing or something and all this. Then I read some postings in net. Uh, that's like uh, Sri Aurobindo writes that Savitri is a legend and a symbol. So I was not basically during my life. I was not an art student or something and all this. But it's like literature and all legend and symbol and how they've been used. But keeping that in mind, and the internet it has corrected that don't try to find the meaning of the words and you take the sense of it and something like that. So that is can be done only by some sadhana or yoga which was done. And we have reached certain stage. Probably it will be easy to understand or grasp something out of it. However, I from the internet I could get the summary actually. What is the summary which is little understandable. So I have noted down something, and I like this chapter, the vision and the boon. So if I'm permitted, so I can read out that vision and the boon.
yes, Captain, please, no permission needed. Which sentence would you be starting from so that I can pull it?
I will just get the summary of the entire chapter, the vision and
Okay,
the boon.
okay.
So the Ashapati was moving up, and so the vision and the boon, here he is having the vision of the mother, and he's getting that boon from the mother. So that is the headline. Suddenly there is a star. A sound comes quivering, an influence approaches, and a mystic form envelops Ashapati's earthly form. The Divine Mother, whom he has worshipped, is now before him, and all of him flows to her. She speaks to him, O son of strength, who climbest the peaks of creation, what thou hast owned is thine, and ask for no more. Uh, she said, O son of strength, who climbest the peaks of creation, what thou hasn't owned is thine, and ask for no more. Do not pray for my descent in a world that is still inconscient. Man is too weak to bear the infinite's weight. Leave the omniscient power at work to follow its course. Thou shalt live in thy own vast achievement, helping the world. Do not lose thyself in the immutable, in the alone. Thou hasn't Thou hast a task that thou shalt share the toil on earth with the missioned force. Man is an enigma, arriving from a half luminous beyond into an unconscious world, he hopes in vain to change the cosmic dream. But the inconscience at the base, the titan darkness, pursues him and defeats his efforts time and again. Man is a link between the beast and the half god. Contradictions riddle his existence. He is unable to save himself, and yet he would save the world. He journeys always, but arrives nowhere. Like we used to read, he is moving in a circle, reaching nowhere. He is surrounded by ignorance in his effort to win and establish knowledge. After all his struggle and toil, the world is where it was. But that is indeed not the end of things. The power that has made this world will not be denied, and it leads the soul of man on its destined road. Slowly but relentlessly. Man cannot pause till he has found himself. There is a light that leads, a power that aids. There are gods who watch and help him with their influences, visits, infusions. Thou shalt not falter. Thou shalt endure and continue thy toil. My light shall be in thee. My strength shall be thy force. Let not impatience goad thee. Be not content with a partial prize. The one boon thou shalt ask is to greaten the spirit. The one joy thou shalt seek is to raise thy kind. Leave the result of thy work to the unchanging will that stands immutable over all that struggle. All things shall change in the appointed transfiguring hour. The great voice ceases. All is still. Ashupati cries out, how can I rest content with the dull mortal life of the earth after seeing my face behind the cosmic mask? How long should we mortals struggle with the night? Why does not a gleam of thy light break on our life? We work but arrive nowhere. Our strength is too little, the light too faint. We strive that out of our labors may arise a greater man who incarnates the truth of God. I know thy creation cannot fail. All is fixed in an ascending scale. Man is not the crown. A power arose from slumber and saw from above mortal space and time. There was a mighty destruction. I saw the flaming pioneers of the omnipotent comes down to the earth, great creators, architects of immortality, embodying the divine glory. This shall one day change the face of the suffering earth and justify all the labor of the impressible nature. Man will be followed by his divine successor, and heaven shall walk on earth. But meanwhile, the world is weighed down by its imperfections. The seals of bondage are firm, but not tarry any further. Mission to our earth, a living form of thine, and with one great gesture, change all future time. The Divine Mother responds, I have heard the cry. Yes, one shall descend who will break the iron law and change nature's doom by the Spirit's power. A seed shall be sown in some tremendous hour of death, a branch of heaven transplanted to human soul, and nature shall overlive her mortal step. Slowly, the form withdraws. The strains of the voice ebb away, and Ashaputi's soul draws back into the earth world. With a new conquering spirit, he resumes his labors. Thank you. So I liked so much this summary. Then I was following the class when line by line it has been read and it was explained by somebody. So then I started understanding something actually. What is the theme actually? So this all of us, those who are on this line, on this path, so probably at some stage or something, actually these sort of thoughts comes to our mind. And though we must not have, may not have seen the power, I have not seen at least, but yes, I can feel that yes. None of the effort will go waste on this path. Whatever steps we are taking, that will take us, if not in this life, maybe in future some lives which we do not know. I read a poem in the class 10. It was Abu bin Adem. So he asked to check from the list at heaven where the name appears. The name appears. So we cannot get it checked by anybody where my struggle or trying or something, endeavor, what we are doing, where we have reached in the list. So we don't know. But yes, this is the road to follow for all of us, I think. That was the thought. Keeping these things in the mind only, so I was reading and I was getting some taste of it, some meaning of it. Without meaning, without exactly you are trying to link this and that. But here it has been clearly told, whoever has translated, the sense has been kept. The sense has been kept. And some of the wordings are taken from this thing only, from the poem directly.
Yeah, lots of
Most,
lines were coinciding, yes.
yes.
Yeah, we should read some lines. So I think, Captain, that is very beautiful. This is a beautiful canto. Uh, you know, but I think summary, of course, I mean, you already saying you are reading the lines. So Mother has said this very, pointedly. It is not important to understand Savitri. We may want to understand at some point, and it is wonderful. It enriches our consciousness, but like it is like the Sanskrit, shlok that we say. I mean, I think most of us don't understand half of them anyway, but they just have that vibratory effect on our being. And Savitri is totally like that. It is totally, I mean, I know people who don't even speak, like a good English, and they will. I know this Russian lady, and she barely can speak English. But she just loves Savitri. I mean, loves is like a understatement, actually. So that is the very important point, to read it. And then Mother has explicitly said, read it aloud, like you were doing. But, I think it makes the, experience better if, you also understand the context. So I think that is definitely helpful. But the main point is actually not to try to understand too much. I mean, that's actually contrary to, again, our own uh, way of interpreting. Because if you know, we must understand. The mind seeks to grasp something. But if the mind is quiet, then you can receive. So I was actually thinking we should read some past lines from here, Haru, if you want. I actually I bookmark the one of them. I think Captain read. Can you search for his failure is not failure whom God leaves? Maybe just
Which
like that
is
one
it in this
sentence.
canto only or
Yeah,
somewhere?
yeah, it's within
Oh,
this canto. You can just search for his failure is not
yeah,
failure. There are a few other beautiful passages from here.
yeah. Would you
Maybe
like to
some.
read it?
Actually, somebody else can start. There's so many people.
Sure.
Just that one sentence.
Yeah, would anybody like to read? Otherwise, I'll read.
Yeah, I'll read.
Oh, okay.
His failure is not failure, whom God leads. Through all the slow, mysterious march goes on, an immutable power has made this mutable world a self-fulfilling transcendence. Tread man's road, the driver of the soul upon its path. It knows its steps, its way is inevitable, and how shall and how shall the end be vain when God is guide? However, man's
No, that's
mind,
that's
tired.
that's good.
Okay,
Sorry, that's
okay.
good. Just that one. Yeah. And one of the things is like when we read, right? I mean, it's like if we feel the lines when we're reading, when he's saying like, and how shall the end be vain when God is guide? It's like there's a pang, right? That's coming out. How shall, I mean, when you have Krishna as your, chariot, how can the end be in vain? So there is a pang. One should feel that, right? Because then it is striking you right at the very core of your being. He's so emphatically saying his failure is not failure, whom God leads. And through all the slow, mysterious march goes on, and the mutable power has made this mutable world. A self fulfilling transcendence treads man's road. The driver of the soul upon its path. It knows its steps. Its way is inevitable. And how shall the end be in vain when God is guide? So that's a question, right? So it's like there's a question there. We must, to some extent, and I've listened to so many. Narad's talks are very beautiful. If people want to listen, they're really beautiful. And he has a lot of points he makes, which one can practice, or at least unconsciously one will imbibe when you read Savitri. So I think if people go to YouTube, there's a lot of lectures that he has. So that was one. And there is that other one that Captain just said is so beautiful. Let's see. Yeah, yeah. How shall I rest content with mortal days? Oh, this is beautiful. How shall I rest content with mortal days? I think he read that a little bit also. Yeah, so maybe we can start, but Ashwapati's heart replied. So somebody can read.
But Aswapati's heart replied to her, a cry amid the silence of the vasts. How shall I rest content with mortal days and the dull measure of terrestrial things? I, who have seen behind the cosmic mask the glory and the beauty of thy face. Hard is the doom to which thou bindest thy sons. How long shall our spirits battle with the night and bear defeat and the brute yoke of death? We who are vessels of a deathless force and builders of the Godhead of the race.
Yeah, keep going.
Or if it is thy work I do below, amid the error and waste of human life, in the vague light of man's half-conscious mind, why breaks not in some distant gleam of thee? Ever the centuries and millenniums pass, where in the greyness is thy coming's ray? Where is the thunder of thy victory's wings? Only we hear the feet of passing gods.
Yeah, we can stop there. It's beautiful. Yeah, so again, one, point on this is just sharing, what sometimes I've listened to other people. So when the question marks are there, it is a question, right? Why breaks not in some distant gleam of thee? Ever the centuries and millenniums pass. Where in the grayness is thy coming's ray? Like, he's asking a question, right? So it is actually Ashwapati asking the Divine Mother. It's so poignant, right? Where is the thunder of thy victory's wings? I who have seen you, have seen your face. It's like you can feel his pang and anguish, right? He's saying, ever the centuries and millenniums pass. I remember hearing a talk from Udar. It was really beautiful, and he was explaining that the mother told Udar actually that you just read Savitri, nothing else. That is your yoga, that is your sadhana. I mean, there are, of course, other beautiful things, but this became his life's work actually. So he has got some commentaries also, and in this one he has commented. There is a sadness, right? We have had so many people come, rishis come, saints come, and society is not changed. So this is Ashwapati's cry to the Divine Mother: "You incarnate." And then he goes on, right? I think this is a very, very beautiful canto. Actually, this book of the Divine Mother is very beautiful. Yeah, actually, one last, can somebody read? One moment fill with thy eternity. Let's read that line. One moment fill with thy eternity. We can start at O radiant fountain.
I'll read.
Yeah.
O radiant fountain of the world's delight, world free and unattainable above, O bliss, whoever dwellest deep hid within, while men seek thee outside and never find. Mystery and muse, with hieratic tongue, incarnate the white passion of thy force. Mission to earth, some living form of thee, one moment fill with thy eternity. Let thy infinity in one body live. All knowledge wrap one mind in seas of light. All love throb single in one human heart.
Yeah, you can finish it off if you want. There's a few more sentences.
Immortal treading the earth with mortal feet, all heaven's beauty crowd in earthly limbs. Omnipotence girdle with the power of God, movements and movements of a mortal will, pack with the eternal might one human hour, and with one gesture change all future time. Let a great word be spoken from the heights, and one great act unlock the doors of fate.
Yeah, that's it. One great act unlocked the doors of fate. And then she answers, right? That is what Captain Edo Strong Forerunner, which we have read those, very famous lines. But now she basically agrees to come down. This is the Divine Mother. This is our mother.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you, Captain, for Savitri is always so. It is everything. Right? One doesn't need to read anything if one reads Savitri.
Yeah. So this is the canto where Savitri, no, where Ashwapati meets the Divine Mother, right? And he sees her, so the vision, and then she gives him a boon. So yeah, it's very beautiful. So we have reached the end of our time. So if there's any last comments, anything, any small sharing under 5 minutes, we can quickly take. Otherwise, we'll just end the session here. So we were also aspiring to read a little bit from renunciation. So this we won't be doing today, but from next time we'll keep like at least 15 minutes maybe for that. But it's okay to be flexible. Yes, Nandini, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes, very clearly.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I was just listening to Savitri and such a delight as always. I just thought of sharing my experience of relating with Savitri, which has been very weird. No, I wouldn't say weird is the word, but sometimes I feel very unique could be the word, because I remember listening Savitri from my father when I was very young, 6 or 7 years old. And in the few lines, I think in the beginning, there's a word which comes, tenubrous womb, something like that. And I don't know, I still remember as a child, I was so fascinated by this word. And when I was growing up, I always thought that I'm Savitri. I always used to feel like that, Savitri became like a role model for me. Although I didn't know who Savitri is and all. I always I knew the story, how the story will be told to a kid. So my grandmother told me that and this. And until now, I have not read Savitri fully from, cover to cover, although other works of Sri Aurobindo, I have some of it, but not Savitri. But I think Savitri, and, I'm maybe speaking for people here who have not yet read Savitri, and maybe just from their perspective, that yes, it is very like how Vishal was also talking about importance and mother and Sri Aurobindo, and because Savitri is really the heart of Sri Aurobindo of writing, and even in his last days he was working on Savitri. But I also feel that if you have not read Savitri, or if there is, and sometimes it's also an inner aspiration. For me, I still feel the aspiration has not come that I read Savitri from cover to cover, although I try. And then there is inertia, and then I don't. But something that Savitri can do for all of us, no, I shouldn't say for all of us, but has done for me. So maybe, if somebody would like to try, is that make it a friend of yours. So Savitri has become my friend. Also, I don't know why, but in my moment of crisis, I've always approached Savitri, as an exemplification of Sri Aurobindo's wisdom. So I remember, thinking about Savitri, and I remember when I was opting for my I wanted to, after my 12th, decide what to do, and whole my family is engineers and doctors, like everybody, every single one of them. And I chose to do bachelor's in literature. And my mother cried that day thinking that my child has completely gone. And I still remember, and my father was okay, but he wasn't really pleased, I remember. But then I just thought about Savitri, and I don't know from where this thing came to my mind, and it still comes to my mind when when she chooses Satyavan, and she says, once I make a choice, I don't, my heart dare not choose again. And I just told it to my father, and I could see his expression changed, and I wasn't really a spiritual child. Like, I wasn't really somebody, although whole my family is, I'm very grateful to be born in a family of such strong faith. I wasn't like that. I was very rebellious and individualistic. And I said it to him, and from nowhere, his changed. And that courage, of course, helped me take very difficult decisions in my life. And then I went back to Savitri. My mother passed away, and we read together. Actually, my mother and myself read to Savitri in her last days. And when the doctor told me that she is going, there is no way we can, she can survive. There's few days left, if not months. And it was like, I don't know, my whole world collapsed that day. And I came down and I again opened Savitri from nowhere. And the whole, actually what opened was about death and what is death, the whole death. And I really didn't understand. And I spoke with Alokda and other people to kind of understand. But then that was really an opening that Savitri gave me as a friend and as a guide to understand what death is. And then, with my mother, we used to read. Neither she understood, neither I understood so many things, but we used to just read. And it was really beautiful. I still remember. And then when she passed away as well, I had a feeling of thing for some time. I was in depression and I felt everything as just, what is the purpose of life in that? And then I was speaking to Monica and I remember she told me to listen again. She told me to listen to Savitri's, forgetting the name now. I've just come to my, like the commentary that she reads about Savitri.
Shraddhavan or Greed.
Yes. Yeah. And I, that also opened, and I, in her voice, I read about, when Satyavan actually has died, and there is a discussion with the spirit, and there's something about where the spirit says that, have you come here to do this? Is this your motive? And it just as if a door has opened, And again, it's not, I didn't read like every day, but in those moments, and then when I had to get married, I again opened, and the Satyavan, who is Satyavan, opened. So what I just wanted to say is that even like for me, even though I have not read it cover to cover, and I still have not, even though it has been so useful, but I still feel that Savitri can become such a good friend. Savitri can, in your bad days, can also become a great help to all of us. It's just my experience, even randomly opening Savitri and evoking, the divine wisdom, and it can really give you what you want. Or for me, I can say, if I can say that it has really opened divine's will for me, what divine want, or the courage that divine wants me to take, or the decision maybe he wants to help me with. So just that's what I wanted to share my experience of relating with Savitri, and just, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no, lovely. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I think that is very true what you said, and I don't think one needs to read it cover to cover. I mean, again, that sense of thing comes. People will say I've read it 3 times, but I don't feel personally that is the important thing. So whatever passages sometimes come to us, like right now we were reading Vision and the Boon, you can pick up. I mean, of course, we have a general idea of the story which Rabindra has used. As you say, symbol and a legend. The introduction he makes is very profound. Like what he says, there's deeper truth to these characters. So the other thing also, I mean, I think Jumurdi and others have wonderful readings, but one can listen to mother's readings also. That is a different power altogether. I mean, they are not all of Savitri, of course, but the passages selected are very beautiful. So, for example, if one wants to just listen to mother's reading of secret knowledge, or, um, you know, uh, we had once compiled, I can send it to the group if people want, a different, I think it was on one of the special days, we had compiled like different parts of mother's reading into one, video. So if people want to hear that, it is mother's reading only, but not like, so maybe like taking 2 minutes from this and 2 minutes from here. And, so it's sitting about 12, 15 minutes. I can post that on the WhatsApp group.
Yes, thank you. Please do that. And maybe we can take it up here or we can take it up individually. So it's amazing where we start from, where we end up. And it's such grace that Savitri always crops in. such good luck we have that it does. And
You
absolute,
know, a thought had, sorry, but a thought had come, because as you said, it's like somehow Savitri seems to come, maybe some lines or something would strike. So I was thinking, maybe or this thought came that it would be nice that we can end with like always a small 3, 4 line, one sentence maybe from Savitri. Uh, if we can, obviously, if it's pertinent to what we are talking, it's wonderful. But if not, that's also fine. Savitri is always beautiful. And I think the point that was made about make it your friend, I think that's such a beautiful point. You know, that is really the essence. I mean, one should not be scared or intimidated. Oh, I don't understand this. Just make it your friend. I mean, if you don't understand, we all don't understand so many words. I mean, at least most of us who have grown up in India. So it's quite okay. Many times, sometimes later on, I'll read, I'll say, what is this word? I've never even heard it. I'll actually check the dictionary. But then Shobhan, I think, building our intelligence or English vocabulary also.
thank you. Yeah, so just I guess just this thing that if we stop being scared, or if we stop saying, it's not up to me, or it will go beyond me, if we just leave all those things, just a very small sharing. The first time Monica told me about Savitri, it was years back. Maybe I don't even know, 6 years, 7 years, not that long. But she told me there's this book, Savitri, and she said कि most likely इस जन्म में तो नहीं approach कर पाएंगे. Like we won't be able to approach Savitri in this lifetime. It seems so intense. So that was the first time probably she had, looked at it and it sounded so big. And within maybe 6 months, she was reading it, and through her, I was reading it, and maybe in another, I don't know, year, she was taking sessions on it. So it's like, how we think where we are, or how we think what is for us, what is not. And yet, life has other plans. So it's so amazing to see how all my notions are so limited. And even, that line that Captain had read, I don't know it fully, but, he would save the world who cannot save his own life. It was from this canto only. So we don't even know what I'm doing and where what is leading to. So, yeah, ending the session here with this grace, this gratefulness for this grace that we are surrounded with, and aspiring to make Savitri more and more our friend. No inhibitions, no resistances, as and one, freely, any number of lines we read, any time during the day or a week. It's beautiful and it grows on us. So aspiring that it grows on us more and more, and that I become Savitri, Savitri becomes me. So ending with this aspiration from everyone, may our hearts be filled with true joy and true peace, thanking the grace and divine. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.